So we are now well on our way into 2025, and of course, naturally, the unboxings don't stop. And today I'm going to be taking a look at the new Oukitel P1, released in November of last year. Now, this phone is currently only available on AliExpress. It's not currently available in the UK at the moment, but on AliExpress, if you don't mind waiting a few weeks for the phone to turn up, it's available for around 120 quid. And there's quite a lot going for it with this P1. So let's just whip it on out of the box. I've got two colors to unbox today and see what it's all about. Let's get into it. Okay, so here is the new Oukitel P1, and I've got it in the 8 gigs of RAM, up to 24 gigs expandable RAM, and 256 gigs of storage. And I've got it in white, and I've also picked it up in purple as well. Now, the one I'm going to be unboxing today is the white model because I've already got the purple Blackview A96, which I will be doing a video on separately, so definitely get subscribed to see that one. And I've also picked up an Oukitel C58 Pro to do a video on as well. So like I said, get subscribed to see those, but I will be unboxing the white model. And as you can see, you get the phone on top. If I can get that out. And there is the Oukitel C58, and unsurprisingly, there's a striking resemblance to the iPhones. And then if we just flip underneath, you get a clear protective case, some wipes for the screen, your paperwork, and because I picked this up off AliExpress, a 2-pin charger and USB-C to C cable. Also in here, obviously, is a new screen protector as well, and a frosted clear case, which is nice to have in the box. So I'm going to leave the case out because I'll try that on in a moment. But for the time being, here is the Oukitel P1. We'll just slide it out. It does actually feel really nice actually, and it's got that glossy side, power button on the right, and volume rockers just above that. Unsurprisingly, look at the fingerprints that it's attracting already, which is what a lot of people used to say about obviously all the iPhones with the glossy sides. Let's peel the front off. Now, despite getting a screen protector in the box, there is one pre-applied to the phone, but this is just one of those TPU ones, so they do scratch up pretty quickly. So we'll just quickly power the phone on. I'll put my information in, and then we'll have a little quick breeze through the OS. Okay, so here is the Oukitel P1 out of the box. I have stuck the case on it for the purposes of just demonstrating. Doesn't cover the sides, unfortunately, so you still are going to get those glossy fingerprints. But up front of the phone is a 6.7-inch AMOLED display with a 120Hz refresh rate. And one of the first things I notice about this display, actually two things really, is how nice this display is. It doesn't show quite as well on camera as what it does in person. And secondly, after using the Blackview A96, you can see just how uniform the bezels are on the P1 as opposed to the A96, which has got this chunky bezel at the bottom there. And I also did just grab the P1 in the purple out of the box as well, just to have a look. And there it is against the A96. Quite similar, there's a bit more saturation on the purple on the P1, but that'll be going straight back in the box in a second. So here is the Oukitel P1, and as you can see, it's a pretty stock version of Android. No app store out of the box, so we'll have a look in a second just to see if that can be sorted out. And one thing you may or may not have noticed is a couple of icons are a complete and utter rip of iPhone, calculator, clock. They have no shame in copying Apple in terms of those icons. And then if we jump into the settings, you've just got the usual settings, bits and bobs. So you've got your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth settings, hotspot, VPN, all that sort of stuff, Bluetooth. You can set up a new device, etc. App information, Obviously, there's not a huge amount of extra apps and I haven't done a huge amount on the phone, but you can go into individual settings on the individual apps on the phone. Notification settings, again, it's all pretty basic stuff, and this is a very stock sort of looking settings menu. And then of course you've got battery information, so you get a 5150 milliamp hour battery on this P1, which is bigger than the 4300 milliamp hours on the Blackview A96. And then you've got the usual battery usage info, and then battery saver, and then the battery percentage, which you can flip on and off. The one thing that has been becoming more popular is having the battery percentage inside the icon. Personally, I actually prefer it just to the side of the icon. Even with my iPhone, I don't really like it where it is, but that's just me. And then you get 256 gigs of storage on the P1 as well. There's not a huge amount taken up, so you get 15 gigs used up. So you get loads of space on this phone. And then if you go into the RAM extension, it is just set at 8 gigs out of the box, but you can expand it up to 16 gigs if you want to. You will have to restart it, so I won't do that just yet. Or apparently I will. Bear with. Sorry about that. So yes, I did restart the phone by accident. So let's just go back to where we were. So you've got sound and vibrations. Of course, you can change all the sound options, and of course you've got the option to do that here by just double clicking on that 3 buttons icon there, and you can do exactly the same as a bit of a shortcut. And then you've got display settings. Now, one thing out of the box to note is it is set to 60 Hertz refresh rate out of the box, and you can flip it to 90, 120 Hertz, or stick it on auto, which is what I'm going to do. And then of course that just makes the whole experience a hell of a lot smoother. And then you've got the usual bits and bobs like adaptive brightness, which I will leave off for the moment, lock screen information, screen timeout, dark mode, display and text size. So you can change all of that, make it a little bit smaller if you want to. For the purpose of this, let's make it bigger. Night light, which of course filters out all that blue light to make it a bit of a orange look for late at night if you're lying in bed or something like that. Auto screen rotate, which I will turn on. Screensaver, lift to wake, and as if they didn't want to copy that, even by name, they are calling it dynamic island as well. And then off screen display fingerprint, we'll turn that on as well, which I'll get to in a second because there's an in-display fingerprint scanner, but we'll do that in a moment. And then you can just jump into wallpapers as well. And there's some wallpapers that you can choose. There's quite a few on there. Again, Apple. I mean, this company has no shame in just stealing Apple's wallpapers, names, icons, all sorts. But we'll just change to that one because that does look quite nice and definitely looks really nice on that AMOLED display. So one thing I will try and look for in a moment if there is a apps drawer, but we'll just check that in a second. So accessibility, again, it's just the usual bits and bobs. Vibration and haptics, you can change all of that. Touch feedback, I will turn off. And one of the things that I have noticed is a nice improvement on this P1 over the Blackview A96 are the haptics. They do seem to be a lot better. On the Blackview, they are typical, cheap feeling haptics, which is why I turned them off straight away. And you're running Android 14 on the Oukitel P1 as well with an October, can't get my words out, October security patch. Now, again, one thing to note with brands such as Oukitel is they don't always have the best track record for offering software and security updates. Now, I do have quite good contact with someone at Oukitel. I have asked them the question and I didn't really get a huge amount of response back with regards to updates. So I'll post something down in the description if I do hear anything back about software updates, etc. And then you can jump into DuraSpeed, which just optimizes certain apps for more efficient opening, etc. and then you can just jump into About Phone and it just gives you more information there. So that's just the settings menu of the Oukitel P1. And the phone is also running a MediaTek G99 processor, which is one that's found on a lot of budget phones these days. And it's been out a couple of years. It is the same processor found on the Blackview A96. I will run a couple of benchmarks on this phone and I will post the results down in the description below. And I will of course comment on that on my full review if you guys want to see it. Let's see if we can start a timer just to check the dynamic island. So we'll set a timer for 2 minutes. And there we go. Up the top there. Press and hold. New news, apparently. Okay. And then you can double click again to bring it up. It's not too bad, actually, to be fair. I will be testing it out a little bit more with other applications like music and stuff like that. But you can open it up and then delete it, etc. and start again. But overall, I think this is a really nice looking phone. Of course, they have blatantly ripped off Apple in certain areas. And I will just quickly test out that camera. Now you get a 50 megapixel main camera. Let's just grab hold of the box. So you get your standard portrait mode. You get a 50 megapixel mode, which I won't be checking out. Portrait mode. There are some extras, night mode and a pro mode. Oops, let's try that again. And then you've got a video mode, jump into the settings. And video quality, 2K video you can shoot on this. I will stick to 1080p just for the purposes of this. And then there's a few other bits as well. A macro mode and a beauty mode as well, which I will never use. Now, of course, the other 2 cameras on the back of this phone are just macro and depth cameras. I would imagine that is probably just for decoration. And then, of course, you've got that LED flash as well. And then lastly, I will just very quickly check out the fingerprint scanner because there is an in-display fingerprint scanner. Pattern, face fingerprint, yeah. Set screen lock. Let's just do a pattern for a second. Next, confirm. Only when sensitive bits are shown. Face unlock and fingerprint. Confirm your pattern. And I will set up the in-display fingerprint scanner. Now with brands like this, there's always the question of, is it a real fingerprint scanner? Is it really reading your fingerprint? But I guess we'll, because that is working relatively quickly, just do the edges. So I guess we'll find out in a minute, because I will of course test my thumb and then I will check my other thumb as well. So when I switched on that other bit earlier, it was easier to find where the fingerprint scanner is. Seems to work pretty quickly. Definitely not working on my other thumb. So I would definitely say that that's a real fingerprint scanner. It would be very silly if they put in a fake one. So yeah, not too bad. So overall, I think the Oukitel P1 could potentially be a really great phone, especially, like I said, if you don't mind waiting a few weeks for it to turn up off AliExpress. Whether it's going to turn up in the UK on Amazon, it probably will be eventually, but it will be considerably more than 120 quid. That's the only reason I bought 2, because it was so cheap. But I'll let you know down in the comments how I get on with the P1, or do let me know down in the comments if you want me to do a full review on this phone. I'm kind of tempted because it is a really nice looking phone. That display is stunning. And definitely get subscribed to see more videos like this. Like I've said, I've got the Oukitel C58 Pro, and I've also got the Blackview A96 that I will be dropping a video on as well. And I'll see you in the next one.